Into the Nexus is a production of amove.tv. Bookmark Amove TV for other great video games and esports podcasts. Into the Nexus is sponsored by listeners like you via patreon.com/ITN. Welcome back, everyone, to Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, and not with me, across the world, across the country anyway, from me, but coming to us live via Skype, if it decides to work this evening, is Mr. Kyle Ferguson.
I'm back. Great to be back.
You are
Garrett,
back. Kyle?
Garrett,
Kyle?
since I announced my quest for Masters, I have sunk in, over the last month, 120 games.
Good God. How many weeks has it been?
It has been 3 weeks since that announcement, since we originally thought the season would end on the 23rd, and it was thus extended an extra, 20 days?
So, in 3 weeks, you've logged over 120 games.
I have.
That's gross.
A bit.
It's a lot of games.
I come to us fresh today. I have slept. I slept a good 10 and a half hours. I went to the gym today for the first time in 3 weeks. I neglected my cat. It was nice to return to the world a little bit, resurface from such a deep dive. Sadly, the climb has not been going well. On that original announcement, I did predict 34 games or so to get to Masters on the current win rate, but hit a wall. So I'm not here to make excuses. I'm here to talk about what I learned. And I learned a lot doing that. I learned a stupid amount. In fact, the majority of my frustration in this particular climb comes from how much I am still learning and how much you wish you could just be a master sometime. Not Masters League, just good, right? Like no more practice.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like I'm gonna go out on a limb here and assume that you did not hit Masters, and
I did not. No.
It sounds like you had a rough night.
I did. I have had a rough go at it. We reached Diamond 1 placement, so the edge of that got up to that Diamond 2, almost into Diamond 1, and then hit that promotion wall where my game losses were costing me 205 points, and my wins were 195. So every demotion fail was another 3-game winning streak that had to happen.
That is a tall order.
It is.
That feels so much more Hearthstone-like than I would ever expect the system in Heroes to feel.
It's a bit more understandable in a 1v1 game, but again, I'm not here to make excuses. I've got plenty. I mean, people who have witnessed my stream have seen some of the things that I have witnessed that we wouldn't expect players of this caliber, if it is a true placement system, to be experiencing. People who can't support. I met a dude last night who could play 0 range characters. He was a weird one. And on the call-in episode, I talked about the tilt-a-thon from Cleanse.
I'm sorry, I just have to stop you. Rewind. You met at what rank were you at last night when you came across Mr. I Don't Play Ranged?
Diamond 3.
Okay, so you met a player in Diamond 3 who shouted from the top of a digital mountain in the Nexus, I don't play ranged.
I have seen guys say they can't tank, they can't support. Okay, interesting. Probably not the right environment for you to be playing it. Maybe you should go get that roster underway a little bit. But this particular man only played melee, and the enemy team picked a Kael'thas. So we, of course, said, we can't go over 3 melee here. You're going to have to play something range. And he announced to the world that we were about to witness the worst Jaina we've ever seen. And it was bad. It wasn't trolly, but it was just bad.
Okay, well, yay. At least he was honest. Oh, that sounds mighty frustrating, dude. I'm sorry to hear that. You are the paragon. You are a beacon of light in this community, Kyle, because we all get, we've all had those days. We've all had those months. We've all had those maybe continuing experience since the launch of this game. And you're always here to tell us that it's okay, that there's always something to learn and there's always something you can do better and something you can, take into the following game to improve upon. So I will say that it's reassuring to see that that even you have bad days, and even you can get inside your head like, come on, I can hear it. This is the Kyle version of, oh, come on.
It's true. And I do have to step back from that, right? It is overwhelming. And because of the way I have structured my life, I am overwhelmed with disappointment. It's not rage. I've just been there too many times. But this is one of the first times in a video game that I have been unable to achieve a goal that I have set for myself. Whether it's grinding, yes, sometimes that darn earring doesn't drop off of Lurker in Serpent Shrine Caverns. It still happened eventually. I have never been stopped to this level, and it took a lot of sort of self-focus and control of the ego in order to once again recover out of that, even take a step back a little bit, which I'm going to be doing now. The season got extended. You can't go at it that hard. You can't neglect your health for so long, and you need to find happiness, of course, outside the game. But again,
yes,
the important stuff is that I have continued to learn.
So what have you
learned? I'm
learned?
here to share the fruits of my labors.
Okay. Well, what is it?
Well, the first fruit is that it's a dive meta. I mean, we all kind of knew this with Kerrigan being where she is, the win rate that she's at, even after nerfs and whatnot, though Hammer doesn't really fit into it. That's kind of a weird outlier. That feels like all the Master Skin Hammers just went finally and just plowed on ahead and started winning. But that's still only 56, 54%, depending on what day of the week you caught it. We are in a dive meta. And the one thing that has been overwhelmingly apparent to me in this climb is that if you complete and build a dive comp in your draft, you will have an easier, more fun time. And I mean that in like big old quotey funds, because we're all playing a video game. I'm always a little disturbed when someone says, end it, I'm done playing. You're like, why'd you sign up for a video game, man? What are you doing? You don't walk into basketball practice and say, you know what? No. You just walk out. You stop paying for the class. Why do you have this gym membership if you're going to stand around? Again, the dive meta is the essence of the fun because it is to kill heroes. You do not require Sylvanas. You do not require, Zagara. You don't need something running around taking care of lanes because when you're ahead, anyone can take care of lanes. We were in a specialist meta while we understood what was going on with catapults. But frankly, you won't even get catapults if you just win every team fight. And there will never be that recovery time. Perhaps Sylvanas on her off-pick maps is an investment in losing and surviving longer through that loss.
Mm. So it seems like you got a little philosophical on us as well. I mean, how much do you think completing the dive comp, completing the comp that everyone expects to happen, the comp that everyone wants, we talked about that extensively last week, which was, certain picks can cause your teammates to go into the game before it even starts pre-tilted. How much do you think that is happening as well when you get that dive comp? Just because that's what we're told, that's what we see in most of our games. Hey, that's what works. Oh, they got the dive comp, they win.
Imagine that fight in the middle, and let's say I did pick the Butcher, who I think is about to be amazing. More on that later. Already is. I've already said that much.
I would say about my PTR games that he is.
Exactly. But let's imagine for a moment that you pick the Butcher, everyone's tilted, but you go into esports middle and you win the fight and everyone goes, oh, aha, and everyone's like doing thumbs up at each other and everybody's friends, right? That's the essence. That's what makes one of the things about the dive comp so powerful is you're very likely to win that middle fight because the enemy team hasn't gotten their order together. But for the most part, we're dealing with the burden of execution, our big word that we like to throw around here now. I'm more concerned about what's fun because the two go hand in hand. You got to protect your ego because we're all human and we don't want to lose. In fact, winning is the expectation when you log into a video game. To lose is to break that expectation. And you have to have fun. So these two things together, overcomplicated. Let's say you build a kite comp, which is really funny because I can tell you everything but dive comp since Legion's release have been going downhill in win rates. I wonder if everyone who has maybe a more strategical mind when it comes to playing a group game just went back to Legion where they're like, I know how to kite. All those guys left. Everyone with a a more creative way to play the game is now back on their PvE game. But I digress. The
Fair
kite
enough.
game of doing the here comes the divers, let's back up, poke, back it up. And now we win when the maelstrom is off. Once that, maybe even the stim pack or the stim has gone off and it's completely run its course, maybe Tychus drops his drill, we all abandon ship, and then we fight after that timer. That's unfun. That is unsimple. And those teams continue to lose repeatedly. And to that essence, morale is probably the most important thing in the game right now, and it plays directly into the burst meta we previously had, which was bad. Because the burst meta meant, here comes Kael'thas, he will delete you by himself in 0 time. I think we have moved into a more healthy spot because here comes 3 people, and they will delete you in 0 time. At least it took some coordination. This is a team game.
All right, fair enough.
I am more happy in this world now.
That's a really good point. Or also, I think the more realistic way that it worked previously was here comes somebody other than Kael'thas because he got banned every game.
True that.
Every single game. We are actually seeing some originality in our bans. Not a ton. You can still see frequently the same bans, but at least it's not always just get rid of Kael'thas, get rid of Li Ming every single game.
No, in fact, the bans have gotten really sophisticated where I'm at, and they are often the map picks. Zul sometimes, Sylvanas other times. No one picks Sylvanas, no one bans Sylvanas if it's not a map for her, because we're moving out of this recovery mode. We have gained our understanding of what catapults can do. If we're winning the game, we don't have to deal with those. So morale is so crazy important in this game, and the way you get it is by chunking. It's still about burst, this meta. Tychus is one of the most powerful tier 1 heroes in the game right now. And that is because of the bigger they are. And he's got other great options. I prefer in the rhythm, particularly if I'm dealing with more than one tank. I love having that quest go ding, 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 ding for hours. Feels great. Feels like I'm in Las Vegas. Love it. But the bigger they are, burns at 4% down to 40% of their total health. So it is a huge giant killer that you can get. And the real power of that is the morale. A fight breaks out, and suddenly the tank has been reduced to 40%. And then the off tank is reduced to 40%. That dive comp, that enemy comp will no longer engage you. They are too scared to continue what they previously did. And your team, whether or not you realize it, everyone sees that tank health fall.
Yeah,
and everyone goes, yes, go, 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 go.
You know how last week you talked about how you were annoyed because you felt that that you just pick Falstad and things go well, even though you have no idea what you're doing?
Yeah.
That is exactly how I felt this week after you were like, Garrett, just play Tychus. Just play Tychus. I don't even remember what game it was. I think it was it one of our Team League games last week?
I think it was, yeah. And we just kind of put you on Tychus, and you hadn't played in forever, and it's fine. Just go.
Yeah, and you were just like, go take these. Now, you never say just take these talents. You always explain why. And I was like, okay, well, that sounds interesting. I understand that. All right. And we went in, and I just felt like a jackass, and I was killing. I was absolutely murdering.
Yeah.
So I've been playing him a little more. As a matter of fact, that's who I was playing on the PTR today, because don't try to play Alarak unless you have 3 hours to wait in queue for. So that's who I was playing, just to I was like, well, I can't play as Alarak in an actual game with people, so I'm just going to get into a game and see what it's like to play alongside one and against one. But, yeah, man, Tychus, really good. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I would have been top damage in my PTR games, but everyone is also everyone else is also taking the Butcher right now, Kyle, and trying to keep up with the Butcher in damage now with his changes in the PTR. It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't drag race, but I imagine it's like when you get a really good start, when you're fast off the line and you're feeling real good in a drag race, but then the nitrous in the other car kicks in, and you just see it just get really far ahead of you, and was just no chance. Because that's how it felt.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah.
You burn it early. It's that guy who goes, woo, and just like uses his nitro on the get-go. And then whatever patient Mick, whoever it is, your hero, waits to the last moment, and the guy goes, no, and probably like crashes just to add insult to injury.
That's how it felt, because in all my games with Tychus on the PTR, I'm like, yeah, I'm top damage. And then like a few levels in, Butcher just like, he's catching up, he catches up, and then all of a sudden there's a 15,000 damage spread.
The nice thing about playing Butcher, particularly on stream, is that no one really has any idea what you're doing yet. You're kind of riding this weird jalopy with that nitro in the back, and no one expects it. But when you play Zagara on stream, you are showing up in their Lamborghini, their Ferrari, and everyone's pointing out the bells and whistles. And you're just trying not to crash that thing. You're just driving down the road. You're like, please don't fail. Please don't fail. And everyone's like, have you done this? Have you tried this? Make sure you do this. And you're like, no. We're just driving now.
Our goal is to not die. That is our goal.
And I felt the same way on Thrall, on Falstad. I mean, Falstad has clicked for me. And It's a dive meta. So Falstad with Mighty Gust. If you're not into Falstad, I'm here to say he's amazing. He's, of course, been in the meta forever. I avoided him because I thought he would just be nerfed. But he clearly is not going to be. Certainly not in this next patch, not for a while. And he is crazy, crazy fantastic. You just gust them away. Kerrigan activates her Maelstrom. You just gust it away. Stim goes out, gust it away. And of course, over time, you become more creative. You decide how you can split enemies, what sort of cool things you can do outside of the esports. Let's fly over their heads and push them back. That accomplishes nothing in solo queue because all you're going to do is scare the crud out of your team, and it's probably going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
When the enemy team suddenly a dive comp pushes into your team, it's probably not the best. But Falstad, 83% win rate. I'm having a fantastic time. And as a previous MOBA player, it has been an extremely helpful hero for me because the speed that everyone multi-soaks at is too fast for me coming from Dota. And that's kind of strange. But if you imagine an hour-long game, if a team fight ends, whoever suggests their body language that they are staying in that lane got to soak that lane and got the XP and the gold while everyone else was expected to move on. So every time a team fight ends, my brain immediately goes with 13 years of trading, soak this lane. And that is not the current meta. And I've had to catch up with that.
Well, that's all good stuff, man. I'm glad to hear that. So Thrall still hasn't clicked, but Falstad has after another week.
Yes, Falstad, I'm just loving the heck out of him. Of course, winning always makes you love dudes. Thrall's at a flat 50%, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I do feel a bit guilty that I forced many of my friends onto playing Thrall. I'm like, what should I pick? What should I pick? Oh, just play Thrall for me, man. He can't go wrong. And the thing is, he can't. And he doesn't tilt at all. And he has a great toolkit that allows him to perform no matter what happens. And you have to imagine here that you're thinking that you're 1/5 of the team when you go in. You're 1/5 of that team. You have to bring at least 20% of whatever it is, whether it's tanking, healing, whatever it may be. And if you're behind, Thrall can still poke it out. And if you're crazy ahead, Thrall can absolutely keep going. So the Butcher in that way does suffer because if he gets wildly behind Illidan as well, there's not much they can do to continue to contribute their 20%. Gotcha. And that's why meta picks are so darn powerful. And it doesn't really matter, if you don't like them, if you feel you only play melee, right? These are things you have to do for your own roster. And the chunking that we talked about, these big, huge hits in damage. It's creative to think that this team has Kael'thas, Li Ming, and I'm Falstad. Well, naturally, I should go an auto-attack build because we're missing that kind of damage. No. We should continue to be full burst Falstad because that's what encourages people and helps them avoid tilt.
Well said, man. Well, I'm glad to see that you've managed to collect your thoughts after what I'm sure was a frustrating losing streak.
It was. But I'm back, and I've taken a step back. And it's been particularly frustrating because I invested myself in the meta picks. And then when someone doesn't pick the meta, you're already on this boat now, right? And you're already feeling those frustrations because you changed your roster. I changed for you, man. You never changed for me.
Awesome. Well, there's a lot more to talk about today because there's a big PTR patch and apparently more PTR notes that I didn't even see. So we'll be reacting to some of these in real time, dude.
Oh my goodness, look at this. As soon as I said it, as soon as the skills are there, what is going on here, Falstad?
Falstad nerfs, sir. Nerfs across the board.
It finally happened.
But before we do that, we got a bumper to play. It's time for news.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven Open up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Stay a while and listen.
You know, sometimes things happen right before the show. And it's interesting.
And when life gives you lemons, you turn them into bombs. Thank you, Cave Johnson.
Thank you. I'm the guy who's going to burn down your house with the lemons. All right, so we got a huge PTR patch. We got Alarak. We got Braxis Holdout. We got a balance update. And apparently, if Reddit timing is to be believed, because they don't put times on blog posts on Battle.net, 5 hours ago, we got an additional balance update added onto the PTR.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, let's hit this in real time then, shall we?
Yeah, we were going to start with Alarak first impressions, but let's look at this addendum to the balance update first. And again, bear with us. This is real-time reaction, folks. So right off the bat, Falstad hammering.
This is to the public test realm, by the way. This is in addition to what we are about to discuss.
Yes.
All coming on the 13th.
Yes. So hammering, damage reduced. And then talent changes. So updraft now also increases your shield duration. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Boomerang, detonation damage has been reduced by 10, even. Charged up, range bonus was increased. And at level 16, Airy Gust, the cooldown reduction for Tailwind activation was decreased.
So a decent little nerf to the exact hammering spec that you probably should be doing every game. Nice.
Yep.
I'm excited about this.
It's not super heavy-handed, though.
No, it's just to reduce the hammerang problem, and particularly the boomerang problem, and not by a lot. I mean, I don't see any seconds increase to Mighty Gust here. That's the real tool that I'm taking advantage of. Flight as well. Auto attacks haven't been reduced. This is fine. In fact, I'm very happy with this because it stops some of the absurdity that I'm able to execute.
Yeah. I'm very excited to see that Vala's basic attack damage has been increased. We haven't had a chance to dive into the Vala changes, but her big rework came, and while there's been some really interesting things changed on Vala, the auto attack build kind of stinks now.
That's the word. I don't play much Vala, but I understand people's frustration, particularly the part that all stacks of hatred are lost at one time.
Yes, it's not.
It's
not degrading, and the big thing is it's that combined with the fact that it takes so long to reach full hatred stacks. So it's this. You're constantly having to make a big investment. So it's I don't know. It's like you're constantly stressed out playing this because you're constantly trying to get your stacks up and you're constantly trying to start attacking something else so that you don't lose stacks.
Yeah, it sounds like they want Vala to maybe have a special place against heavy frontline, so that you can actually continue to get your stacks, or at least enough melee are in your face to maintain it. Yeah. But then why wouldn't you do someone else who's better at that job, Kael'thas Tychus?
Yeah. Chat room, I'm getting to it. Now that I've explained that, these changes make sense. Basic attack damage on Vala has been brought up by 15, and the stack duration on Hatred has been increased by 2 seconds. It was at 4, it is now at 6. That's a huge increase.
Helps out quite a bit.
Yes. So that calms me quite a bit down.
And maybe it's a note to all Heroes of the Storm players that with a slight break that you take from Heroes of the Storm, you should reduce all your hatred to 0.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
It's not worth repeating. Move on, man.
All right. Asmodan. Taste for Blood. Duration in which enemy deaths will permanently add to global annihilation damage increases from 1 to 1.5 seconds.
Neat.
Cool.
Sergeant Hammer got a little touch-up too, but it's just moving around a couple of mind talents. Though, look at this Sagara here. Auto attack damage reduced.
Yeah, not a ton again. Like, we're looking at a really minute damage tweak. It's going from 86 to 82.
Actually, this is across the board. Just about every single spell has been brought down from 6 to 10 damage.
Yeah. Baneling, Hunter Killer, Infested Drop all had damage reductions.
And meatless down 15 seconds. I don't think that'll hurt too much, but it is a bummer to the dream of having those things go on to great glory.
Yes.
I kill Mutilus when I see them, absolutely every time.
This doesn't surprise me. It's pretty, again, it's minor tweaks. It kind of, it's suspect that it's happening to literally every ability. But
yeah,
Zagara will be fine.
She's still map specific. I think we all fight over her for unjust reasons. I think we just don't want to deal with a Hydralisk locked onto us while we're paying attention to everything else in the world. So this will help, and I assume through this, we'll have Zagara selected a little more intelligently.
I would also like to see her just not banned every game.
Here's a maddening thought on these PTR changes. Headless Horseman attack damage up by 13. I don't care how much. You went and made that thing bigger. That thing hits like a truck.
He is the harbinger of death.
I want him to spawn. I don't care about 4 shots. Get rid of him. Spawn that guy and send him at the enemy team. He will win the game. I don't even care if that core is invincible. He will find a way.
Yeah. All right. So there's everything you need to know about the addendum. So let's just go ahead and dive into the balance changes since we're already talking about them, and then we'll come back around to our first impressions. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Pay no attention to the bullet list if you're watching the video version. All right. So, boy, there's a lot to discuss. Let's just start with Bribe, Kyle, because when was the last time we talked about Bribe on this show?
Probably back when you were big on Brightwing, like a year ago.
And it was probably me saying, yeah, I don't take it that much.
Not anymore, anyway.
Actually,
back
yeah,
in the
early
day.
days. Yeah, I did. You're right.
Bribe was how you confused your enemies and made friends.
It was, you know what? Murky happened. And then everyone was like, Bribe's amazing. Oh, Bribe. Like, where's
That's
Murky?
true.
Where's Murky? And Mercenaries.
Lost Vikings is still going a Bribe build for the most part.
Yeah. So Bribe is interesting. It's being removed from a bunch of heroes, and then other heroes are getting hero-specific bribes. So Brightwing no longer has Bribe. She has Pixie Charm, and she gets a stack of Pixie Charm every time she heals an allied hero on a quarter-second cooldown.
So if you're healing 4 heroes, you don't get 4 stacks.
Right. So
With that cooldown.
It doesn't matter if you had 4 or 1, you're getting the same stack per pulse of your heal.
Right. So you can't build the Misha Lost Vikings team that is going to be uber bribe for Brightwing. Every single pulse will still just give you 1 stack. Now, you could be like mad leet with your bribe and make sure you never teleport heal during a pulse. But otherwise, this is a really cool twist.
Yeah, I like
Bribe.
I never really thought of it before because it's like, this is just how Bribe works. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, why the hell did Brightwing have anything that had her killing lane minions? Because she's not fantastic at it.
But she does soak those lanes, and then she's able to rejoin. I really like the informed play style that the previous Bribe gave Brightwing as a global hero. But here, we have her doing, once again, exactly what she should be doing in the first place. And that's great.
Yeah, I like that a lot. As someone who Brightwing's probably my main support right now. I really like I jump at the chance to play Brightwing. So, anyways, Falstad got his version of Bribe called Wingman, and works pretty much how you expect. Minion deaths near you grant stacks, again, on a quarter-second cooldown. So if you kill a big group of them all at the same time, you're not really doing yourself any favors.
Yes, but every time you use one of your Bribe stacks of 20, you increase your lightning rod damage by an amount that stacks up to 80. So Bribe is now the lightning rod build.
Yeah,
and now you decide who you are as Falstad at level 1. Are you going to go Seasoned Marksman, Gathering Storm, or Bribe? And I do think the lightning rod is really cute. I say that in the full intention that I know that means it's sort of useless, but it could be good. Now, my dream idea of the lightning rod build does take place perhaps on Battlefield of Eternity, where Bribe is rather useless because there's just too few camps, and there's only 2 lanes in which to clear.
Fair enough.
But my dream is that as that lightning rod continues to go out, it stacks, increasing its damage if you invest all your points into it, and it can do a lot of damage to the Immortal. The idea that the lightning rod build could be a thing. Plus bribe is a little weird, but I like it.
Yeah, I dig it. Not a big Falstad fan, though apparently I should probably do that. You know what? You've got Falstad, I've got Thrall. We should just play more games together.
That sounds good to me.
Yep. Tell me about Covert Mission, Kyle.
Yes, Covert Mission. So we talked a while ago that Nova might be getting bribe herself. And she got it in this PTR. And she gets 10 stacks of bribe for every hero takedown she gets. Upon using her stacks of bribe to instantly destroy a mercenary, the camp is entirely reset and respawns 50% faster. So nothing special, nothing stacking in the background, but sees the utility of other bribes, which, note that Brightwing's bribe currently doesn't have the functionality of if you destroy an entire merc camp with it, it respawns faster. Hers is just based on healing. So Nova, interesting, needs hero kills. Otherwise, it's complete bupkis and will do nothing and have zero value.
Well, wait, why does she need hero kills? Because it says minions dying. Grant the stacks. Oh, hero takedowns grant 10 stacks. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Glazed over that.
So you can hang out in lane, but, I mean, we've all been there when Nova hangs out in lane. And we know how bad that is. She's got to get these kills for these stacks. Otherwise, she probably shouldn't be in range to be getting these stacks anyway.
Still don't like Nova. Anyway, Rainier does not have bribe. Azmodan no longer has bribe. And Nazebo no longer has bribe.
It's off. It's out.
No more bribe. Wasn't taking him anyway. I'm okay with that. Let's talk about movement speed, Kyle, because last week if you want to hear about the mount speed changes, listen to last week's episode. We're not going to go back over them. The PTR has exactly what we talked about last week. What we do know now is what other movement abilities have been reined in and how much they have been reined in. So Falstad's Tailwind is now 15% instead of 20%. Rhaegar's Ghost Wolf is now 20% instead of 30%. Nova's Advanced Cloaking gives you a 25% bonus instead of the old 30% bonus. And Creep gives you a 15% bonus down from the previous 20% bonus. So not everyone being brought down equally, but still within the same realm.
And it's important to note, too, that a lot of the talents are still in existence. Rhaegar, for instance, will be able to bump his 20 to a 30 and still match mount speed eventually through talents. But it is interesting that, Falstad, Nova, and Zagar were only brought down by 5%. And this is all going to be pretty nuanced. We didn't even notice it playing, really, except for there's just sort of a different flow of things. And journeying to another lane just feels a little more invested. Yeah.
So how do you feel about that, man? Because I guess this is a preview of the first impression we're going to talk about. What is your first impressions with these movement changes? I kind of dig them. It's reminding everything is a lot more deliberate now, it seems, playing in the PTR. Yeah. Moving between lanes. I haven't had a chance to play on comms with any friends, but I would imagine now when you're moving between lanes, it gives you just a little more time to talk about things, to think about things, to plan out your course of attack, because it's taking you longer to get there. It is reminding me a lot of when you taught me to play Dota all those years ago. Because I felt like when we finally decided we were going to move from whatever lane we were in, it was like, holy crap, we're going on a Lord of the Rings style journey. There's going to be mountains crossed. There's going to be an avalanche. We're going to have to take a rest in an inn, and eventually we'll find the battle. That's how it felt in Dota, traversing between lanes. And I wouldn't say Heroes has reached that level of, good God, this is going to take forever, but it's elongated lane travel just enough, I think. Like, it's just enough to me that I like it. My brain has time to think, to compartmentalize everything that's happening on around a map.
I'm excited about this for my own playstyle because, as I talked about last week, I punish mistakes. I have a hard time making opportunities. And with the current Deathball meta, I can say that this is not my meta. This is not my strong suit. I am much more of that lane, come together, go back to laning kind of player. If this means we can step further away from the multi-soaking Deathball, I am so cool with that because it has no personality. And no matter what heroes you plug in there, they all just kind of pile on top of each other. Yes, that's a pretty rock in the avalanche. But what a beautiful snowstorm. But it's still a giant wall just coming at you, and it has has no flavor.
Yeah. I'm digging it all around. I've been enjoying the skirmishes. Although one of my games, it felt like it almost forced the opposing team to move around less. I mean, we crushed them, but I had this one game where on the PTR where they pretty much stayed middle the whole time. It was their last forward fort to fall. It was like they just didn't want to leave anymore. I mean, we just destroyed them. We just pushed the top and bottom in horribly because they weren't reacting enough. They weren't spread out enough. But it's interesting. I'm excited for this change to go live. I really like this change.
Well, and if you go back and watch those games we played last Friday with the patrons during the Team League event, there was something very interesting there. And one of the things that I, really urged our teams to repeatedly do was to avoid being reactionary. And we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
With this movement speed change, you have to do it even more. I mean, if you're bottom and you want to defend top, forget it. Take their bottom fort while you're down there. And that team that you fought may have been stuck in indecision, but it sounds almost like they kind of did the right thing. They stayed on a course, and it maybe kept them in the game a little longer than trying to organize a bunch of solo players to ride as one to create some sort of defense in an unknown area.
Fair enough. Good point. Well, we have more stuff to talk about, but I think just to put a little, to bookend this, I'd like these kind of bigger than the heroes kind of system changes that we've received. The changes to regen globes, the changes to fountains, and now the change to mount speed.
Yeah.
I think they're all
I
really
love
healthy.
As well.
Yeah, I think they're really healthy changes for the game.
If you hearth back and you're not almost dead, you're probably doing it wrong right now, and I love that.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to get through the community, and I still see a lot of early hearths when it would be much better for you to push the keep with us. In fact, here's a very obvious kind of example, and we've all done this. There's a keep, and three of us are burning it.
Yep.
And you know that you're the melee, and you're pretty scared. Let's say you're Uther, and you're just whacking it with your hammer, and it's not doing much, but you're there to participate. And you see Tychus, you see Vala, they lock on, and they start burning that fort. And you think to yourself, this is going to die anyway. I should probably start getting out of here because this is looking a little unsafe. And so you walk out, and then they start to walk out. And then you go, wait, no, you guys are supposed to finish that sport. So you go walking back in, and they walk back in, and now you've been there 20 seconds longer than you ever intended to be. Same thing happens on mercenary camps. Someone's taking it, someone goes, oh, I got to go somewhere else, and you're stuck with very low damage finishing that last couple hits off. And if Vala would have stuck around and burned it with you, it would have been extremely effective.
Yeah. No, you're right. Body language, man. It telegraphs a lot. Well, let's move on and talk about some talents that have been baked in a way. So Johanna's Condemn. Now baseline deals 200% increased damage to minions and mercenaries. Knight Takes Pawn is gone, Kyle.
That's very exciting. Very scary.
It is, yeah, it is scary. So now it does less damage than it did previously with Knight Takes Pawn, and it doesn't stun the minions and mercenaries.
It doesn't stun for 3 seconds, and that was huge. That was the sort of, at least we have this in your back pocket. When that double siege camp was taken in the bottom, marching towards your lane, at least you could lock them down for 3 seconds, and we could all get out on the field, maybe zone a little bit. Great, now the blizzard's down. We destroyed them. Awesome, great, we pulled them together. I love this. Now, it's going to be scary, but I love the personality. I love that Johanna can become what she already was, which was a lane clear warrior. We know she's going to be lower team damage, but we're going to choose to take Johanna in because we can lane clear a little stronger with her.
Yeah.
Same thing goes for Leoric, but you're really taking him as percentage-based damage. So Johanna now encapsulates that. I love it. She's got great other level 1 talents. You just had to do Knight Takes Pawn just in case that one situation came around where there was those double siege giants.
Yep. I'm okay with the change too. I am really going to miss that stun though.
It's going to take some getting used to, but dude, Reinforce is incredible. Regeneration Master, now available for pickup.
Yeah, because I needed help living more on Johanna.
It's fun though.
It is. I'm glad. I am excited about getting into a game and at level 1 on Johanna having a choice to make.
Yeah.
That'll be nice. That'll be nice. I will. Damn it, I will miss that stun though. Stun, I hardly knew you. And Muradin's Thunderclap now slows movement and attack speed by 25%, baked in right into the base level talent. Reverberation now increases this to 50%.
So if you see an extreme case and you want to invest further in this, you can. But Muradin now kind of does what he was being taken for in the first place, anti-melee.
Yeah.
And that's great.
It's fantastic.
Let's define those personalities.
I'm happy about this.
Me too.
Happy about this quite a bit. Relentless is gone, pretty much. Dev said that they're removing the majority of our old Relentless-like talents from the game because we found it wasn't clear to the enemy team what was happening. Reducing the duration on very short disabling effects to begin with was hard to notice and typically felt like a bug when it did happen. I agree with this, by the way. It was very rare that I had an enemy take Relentless, but when they did, I would just be like, what? What the hell just happened? They just said in some cases we are replacing these talents with hero-specific ones that more clearly convey what's happening while fitting the gameplay of the hero, and those heroes are Tychus has Relentless Soldier, stun or root 25% resistance for 3 seconds. You gonna be taking this on Tychus, Kyle?
It's an interesting idea.
So no. Stitches got a level 13 talent where when he is stunned or rooted, he reduces basic ability cooldowns by 3.
Whew, that's cool.
Yeah.
You're already messing up by using CC on the tank, but if you're thinking collateral CC, like a big old lawn from Malfurion,
yeah,
would you take a step in?
And I would argue you messed up by taking Malfurion. Yeah, yeah, that's very cool. And then Monk. Stuns and roots give 50% reduction from basic attacks for 4 seconds.
That one blows my mind a little bit because Monk dies to everything equally. And in the front line, you're going to be hit by spells like Arcane Orb. Sure, you're going to get pinged by basic attacks, but what a weird one. And this is a talent that you have to pick up, so it's not like it's baked in. You don't go, Monk, clearly our anti-auto attack support. Let's do this, Monk, every time. The comp has informed this. You're going to get into late game, see that Raynor has been doing tons of damage to you, and you are going to make a choice. But then you have to be stunned or rooted, so Raynor isn't the right option. Stunned or rooted, you're dealing maybe anti-thrall there, and you're thinking, I get rooted before he wins Fury on me, this will counter that. You should be flighty enough maybe to avoid the Feral Spirit. I don't know.
Yeah,
this one's a bit odd.
It seems really pocket, like super pocket. Very specific, very niche.
And I really liked Relentless Predator on Greymane, and it's just gone now.
Yeah.
Replaced with nothing. And the reason why I like Relentless Predator is because it reduced all those CC abilities by 75% while you're in Worgen form. What that really truly meant was a strategical choice against people like Vala or ETC, where you said, ETC is going to power slide me, and I can't really stop that. But the power slide stun into a mosh pit is too powerful. By taking this talent, I have enough reaction time to roll away and disengage before the mosh pit happens. Because you'd have that reduction, so you wouldn't be locked down for the actual mosh.
Right.
So I'm sad to see that one go. It made a lot of sense on him. These are flavorful, though, and that's healthy.
Yeah. Let's talk about some new functionalities. We talked, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, how one of the devs mentioned that Morales' grenade would be getting the ability to manually detonate the grenade. And that has come in with the PTR. You now throw your grenade, and then you have to hit the hotkey a second time to detonate it. So it will pass through anything in its path, and it will explode when you tell it to. And I'm very happy to see that the delay upon reactivation has been addressed in that, I'll call it my balance update addendum that we discussed earlier. There was a lot of chatter on Reddit, and I agree that there was a kind of, I don't know, it wasn't a cooldown, but there was a delay between when you throw out your grenade and when you could reactivate. And a lot of players felt that it was too long, that if someone was right up in your grill, that you couldn't push them away from you, that you could only ever push them further in front of you. So they've changed that now, and that you can almost reactivate it almost instantly.
But just enough of a sort of cooldown circle that you won't double spam it and accidentally detonate it the second you launch it, which is a nice quality of life.
Yes, yeah. The devs got in there, explained this is exactly why we did that. It's so if you accidentally double tap your key, that you don't throw and detonate immediately when you did not mean to do that. So, game design,
Scary?
man, things we don't think about.
Scary stuff. I'm excited about the functionality, about the additional mental work that it'll take to play Morales, because right now it's kind of, safety town, and that's all you really need to do.
Yep.
But I am a little concerned about the equivalent of the mind control Sylvanas who delivers the thrall to her face. The Morales who thinks she's being awesome pushes the thing towards her, and the thing don't care. It's now towards Morales.
Well, if you do that and there's no one else around to capitalize off of what you just accomplished, that's kind of your own fault.
Sure. If you die because you push someone into you, absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't keep nice nuances out of the game for fear of people misusing them. Which, more on that when we get to my first impressions of Alarak, by the way. I didn't get it at the beginning, but hold on. Talking about that later. Murky's Octograb, Kyle. It ends if he's killed.
Which is just sad.
Yeah. I'm supremely unhappy about this change.
It seems like it should have always been this way, because isn't he summoning it and then it just it was always kind of odd that when you killed the Murky, sure, the 1 damage stopped, and at level 20 the damage stopped and it was decent damage, but it's still really weird.
It is important to note that they'd also made it so that Murky is now unstoppable while casting Octograb, which is good. That makes me happy. But man, the fact that it ends when he dies, like, this is a hero that is created to die and is not doing well at all in the game currently. This is not helping at all. This is hurting.
He is meant to suicide, and as they continue to adjust the character, they want him to die in the majority of things he pulls off. That should be the reward for dealing with the frustration of an enemy Murky. Mm-hmm. However, the really sad thing about poor Murky is Tychus, Tracer, and coming up, Zarya. These heroes that attack ridiculously fast, destroy pufferfish ridiculously fast, and frankly, destroy Murky a little too fast.
Mm-hmm. Finally, in Nubarak, Burrow Charge is no longer invisible. But
Invincible.
Invincible. This says invisible.
That is dyslexic Kyle. I will.
Sorry. No longer invincible, only unstoppable. So still takes damage, but cannot be stunned.
They were a little sad about him avoiding everything as he flew under. Now, if you are riding under a flame strike, you will feel it. And, poor Nubarak, man, he already hurts enough. He's great in the dive meta. He's been succeeding right now, and even in a solo tank capacity, when with someone heavy like Kerrigan. But his uses are slowly getting whittled down.
Yeah. That's right there with me on Murky. I'm just like, come on, just leave him alone. He's not doing well. I mean, Nubarak's doing okay, but Murky's... When was the last time you've seen a Murky picked? Ever. Even as a troll pick. He's doing so poorly, he's not even a troll pick anymore.
I lost to a solo tank Murky this week.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
A solo tank Murky, yes. The final pick was for tank. The enemy team decided to pick a Murky. Murky was amazing. My team threw themselves in one by one because they didn't expect the enemy team to be any good. And they were so full of themselves that this succeeded with flying colors.
All right, cool. I just wanted to make sure that I heard correct. I was like, does solo tank Murky mean that they had one tank and a Murky? No, it means what I thought you meant, which is the tank is Murky.
It's very powerful. He was a body blocking master, this particular Murky, and I was very impressed by him. And no one respected. And you got to respect, man, until you at least see him on the field and they whiff their first shot and you go, all right, it's a bad Jane, everybody. It's a bad Jane. Everyone cool down. But until that moment, you have to give full respect.
I'm glad. That makes me really happy. I'm happy to hear that. But not every Murky is played by that person. So give him some love. Give him some love. All right, Kyle, you may have the floor to talk about Butcher.
So Butcher... It's ridiculous right now. And I don't mean that maybe in a powerful way. We're still all kind of figuring it out. But here's what happened. The old trait used to increase percent damage as you collected your meats. And you could spec to increase your attack speed. And as you collected more and more meats, you would become more powerful, just as the new butcher does. However, that stopped at 25 without talents, and you would increase your attack damage by 25%, and that would be that. And you'd lose stacks on death. They have now transformed 25 into 125 stacks, and instead of percents, you only get 1 damage per stack. But upon completing your 125 stacks, you get an additional 100 damage, so you're now at 225 bonus damage.
And that's not all.
And you increase your attack speed by 25%.
Yeah.
He's awesome. And he is now a late-game hero almost to the sense that Kael'thas, when he takes Convection, is sort of this mid-game hero. It's really interesting to see choices maybe made for the map, because, frankly, Braxis Holdout doesn't look like it's going to last you a long time. Most of my games were 16 to 20 minutes max.
I am surprised that we didn't see, because we got this little additional balance update, I am surprised we didn't see any damage tweaks on the Zerg hordes.
A little surprising, yes.
Yes, they are powerful.
They are extremely brutal.
But again, more on that later. Yeah, I think Butcher's in a fantastic place on the PTR, man. I was seeing people just clean up with him.
And you should take him on a map that will allow you to be late game. This means Butcher has to be extremely careful in the early game. You will lose only 10 stacks when you die, but that is a pretty big step back when you want to be getting into team fights. That's what your kit is about. And because of his lack of poke, he is unable to really hold his own in a lane by himself, unless it's an enemy melee and you're just doing fantastic. I mean, I can 1v1 Thrall decently because after the poke comes out, Thrall has to close in on me, and I can then Butcher brand him to keep my health high. But eventually, Thrall's going to win out on mana. It's a dangerous place for him to be, so it's a dance, right? Same with Kael'thas. If you go Convection Quest right now, you should be in the lane with the most heroes, but that's also the most dangerous place for you to be.
Yep.
So it's a cool balance. There's also great tweaks in here, like as you attack a hero, your Butcher's brand will refresh itself. So if you can continue to wail on the same guy for an extended time, it'll be beneficial. Now, some of his talents are down to only 3 each, which is always sad because we're losing that 4th slot, a little bit of maybe individuality in his kit. But he's looking really cool. And hey, check this out. Cleaver at 13. Butcher now has a straight up cleave of 35% for his auto attacks. If you spec into it, probably won't, but it's neat to see Battle Fury in the game for us old Dota fans.
And it was hinted at in the past, so it finally came. It finally came to Mr. Butcher. So I really recommend folks get in there and try him if you haven't. If you were ever interested in the Butcher, maybe you tried him, maybe he wasn't your cup of tea, go give him a shot now. He seems really cool. Kyle, guess what hero I want you to coach me on next?
Butcher?
Yeah, you didn't have to answer. It was
okay.
A rhetorical. Anyways, all right, so let's come back around to what we plan to open the show with, which is our first impressions on Alarak, Braxis Holdout, and the MVP system. There's not a ton to talk about the MVP system, but it's still something I think worth discussing. But let's kick it off with Alarak. Kyle, I'm going to start. I picked up Alarak, and I wanted my money back, dude. I wanted my money back so fast. I've never been instantly so angry about a hero and how they played and what like their kit, and it was just frustrating beyond all get out. He had this lightning bolt that seemed to do nothing, and then he had his Q. I still would argue is so boring. It kind of hurts.
Now hang on. And let's be fair here. It is not circle shaped. It is triangle shaped.
You're right. It is,
and that is a big
shaped.
step forward for Heroes of the Storm, my good man.
Yeah. So it's just unintuitive. It's just really hard to land.
Yes.
Is what you're. Okay, cool. I'm glad that you consider that a step forward. I don't.
Preparing our shapes. We got squares. We got rectangles.
And then finally, Kyle, the thing I was most excited about, his W, his force push. I haven't memorized the name, and like a moron, I didn't leave myself a note of what it's actually called. Telekinesis. You know, he does a push or pull depending on direction. I thought that was going to be the thing that saves him, Kyle. I thought that was going to be the thing that just sold him on me. And through try mode, I couldn't figure out how to get this damn thing to go in the direction I wanted it to. It seemed entirely random. At first, I was like, oh, is it in the direction he's facing? Is the direction that this thing pushes? Because that's what it felt like it was. But then a couple other times, it like shot off in weird diagonal directions. And I was sitting there, Kyle, screaming at my computer, why didn't you just make this like a touchscreen interface where I can just make a gesture and that's the direction it does it? And then I did that, and damn it, that's exactly what they did. I'm an idiot. He's fantastic. Yep. I love Alarak.
He's great. It's a great kit, particularly because I've been working so hard to get Thrall under my belt, even a little bit of Kerrigan here and there. All the frustrations I have with those two heroes really are fixed in Alarak. Now, of course, it's a little fixed because Thrall's a little preachy, and Alarak is absolutely awesome in personality.
He talks so much smack, it is ridiculous. It is a joy to play as him or just to have him on your team, just to hear all that fantastic smack talk. And also, I'm pretty sure he's dialed up on the smack talk right now, because in my games, even when I'm not playing him, he is the only damn hero I am hearing.
He's tuned pretty high, and he does not respect his heels. He straight up insults them.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. We were on a team with a Brightwing, and I'm just like, if I was the Brightwing, I would be really angry right now. And it wouldn't be at the person playing Alarak. It is literally at Alarak. I'm mad at Team 1 for making him such a jerk. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. I was so... We talked a little bit before the show, and you said, he feels like Thrall, but Thrall for me. You said that, and I was so happy to hear that, because that was the exact... I had a very similar feeling once I figured it out. Like, man, he feels like Thrall, like the sequel, like Thrall 2, Electric Boogaloo.
And there needs to be more of him in this game. It's the Falstad thing. He feels like he's almost meta ready just because he has everything he needs. He's a melee assassin, which gives him some restrictions automatically. But much like Thrall, he's got a lightning, a ranged attack that heals him. Mm-hmm. And it's rather creative. You're going to charge it at someone. You're going to cast it directly on who you want to hit. But if it hits anyone in the in-between, you also heal yourself for some of that damage. And you can spec into that and change it how you want.
Yeah, a lot of the talents, and that was actually probably still to this point my biggest issue. And maybe it's just because, I don't know. In my games, I ended up with big front lines. But it felt like, because of the talents on Lightning Surge, it's like nothing good happens with these talents that you're taking for Lightning Surge to your target of Lightning Surge. It happens to the collateral damage of your Lightning Surge. And it's very hard to control.
But it's very creative. You really feel good at Alarak when you become good, because you are pushing people around with telekinesis. You are silencing people that get in your face, which feels awesome when a Tracer comes in on you, because silencing Tracer is a death sentence. Mm-hmm. And you've got this lightning to regenerate yourself in the background. I'm in love with both specs that he has, and you can do an informed choice. I think he's a great, much like Li Ming, much like Thrall, early pick, because I don't think you can go wrong. You are going to go a Lightning Surge spec because you see maybe the melee's too heavy for you to actively be in their auto-attacking, or the enemy team is really low health, like a bunch of spellcasters, maybe even a Chromie, and you're not going to really get back in there to them till 10 if you take charge. But for now, you're going to be able to poke it out, and as you get poked by sandblasts and whatnot, you'll be able to keep your health relatively high.
Yeah.
And then, should you be a carry assassin, Discord it up, man. I mean, at level 4, you can turn your triangle into a Kylo Ren sword shape. It doubles in size. I mean, really, only it says here that it increases the range by 25%. No. This thing is tiny and becomes huge. I don't care what the actual percent is. It feels good, and you will decimate with this thing.
It is, but that's the thing. It is so small, base level, that it seems like a massive increase. The delay, man. I played 3 games with this guy, and I did not get used to that delay.
And if there's weird talent in here where you can reduce the delay but become vulnerable yourself, I have no idea how. I guess maybe Tracer, that'd be the one, because you have to do it quick enough, kind of like you might go the sweeping speed on Ariel if you're up against really fast characters.
I did try that, and I liked it. It made Discord Strike feel so much more reactionary, but Yeah, it seems like a huge gamble.
I don't really want to be vulnerable.
No, he doesn't have a ton of health.
But I feel like it's just enough. Now, I'm saying all this having played custom games. If you're not familiar, when patches go out, I spend my entire Tuesday stream playing custom games, and we have a blast doing it. Mainly because there is no MMR on the PTR, and the level of salt in there is so wildly strange. Why? We're in imagination land, practically. Like, this has no value. We're all here to have fun. Why would you insult each other? At any rate.
I mine was okay. I had some all caps soak. I'm just like, dude, we're just trying to see. I just want to fight Alarak. Leave me alone.
Right. Or,
what he's got.
But yes, we're all a little slowed down. We're all going to have some trouble soaking. It's not that big of a deal. But to that note, I played Alarak mostly in a custom game environment, which means that we had a wide variety of skills present. Telekinesis took advantage of people's mistakes. But I'm very excited because much like Force Wall, it can create mistakes, which Diablo is unable to do. All he can do is charge, and maybe at 16 you can do domination where you charge and pick someone up and charge out. You might be dead by the time you create a mistake in the enemy team in that way. But I think Alarak really has the way to single people out, and I bring up Kerrigan because you will have to master that combo. And that's why Discord is so hard to hit, because you telekinesis them in and have the Discord ready, boom. That's how you land it reliably.
I absolutely agree. But I can see why why he didn't originally click with me, because that is not how I typically play this game. I'm used to Thrall, man. I just hit buttons and things work.
Right, and that was my frustration with Thrall and Kerrigan right now, and Alarak fixed that for me. I am so excited. I'm a bit ashamed because he is cool, stereotypically like cool. We're not going to be first picking him because everyone's going to want to first pick this guy because he's cool. And then you have to wait 3 weeks. Hopefully people will fall off him. But I think if he releases in his current form, this is a rather frightening hero. Also, it was pointed out to me on YouTube today that Pure Malice, the level 13 talent, when an enemy hero or an allied hero dies near you, you get a stack of sadism.
Yep.
Which increases your overall ability damage. Murky. Right? Right? Murky Alarak combo.
Oh my God.
Maybe
you
you
and me.
Murky 100 times by him.
You and me, Kyle.
Let's do it.
I will be your fish man.
Maybe we send Misha to die. Maybe that's what you... I don't know. Lost Vikings. Who knows, right? This is a very exciting thing.
There are expendable heroes in this game. I wonder... do you think they reined it in? Do you think a hero that's not worth a full death doesn't give a full stack?
Just said allied heroes.
I know.
We'll have to see.
Oh, I will be your fishman. You will have my Murloc.
All right, after show games to come.
Cool. Fantastic. All right, well, cool. So Alarak, we're digging. We like him. Before we talk about Braxis Holdout, I do want to say probably my single favorite thing about Alarak is having Deadly Charge off cooldown when somebody tries to leave a fight with you. When they decide, oh, I'm going to die, and they try and escape. They're not getting away.
Deadly Charge is so awesome, though it is very tightly tuned. If you take any damage, any at all, it cancels the cast completely. Yes. Even like the most collateral little weird thing that might shoot off the side, a random fart that lands from another person's game will cancel this.
Yes, it will. But oh boy, if you get into a 1v1 and that person's like, no, never mind, I made a mistake, I'm out of here. You're just like, no, you're not.
Nope.
It's great.
Just charge that up. And I sat in bushes, just sitting at full charge at level 20, just waiting for someone to get out of position to make any mistake. And then at 20, I didn't need a mistake because all you do is you get your second heroic counter strike.
Yep.
You dive into the team, become protected. You turn around and do that counter strike and blow the stacking of it. You feel awesome.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to be so surprised if he doesn't have a good release in terms of win rate. I will be amazed. But yeah, first impression. Game one, hated him. Once I realized how freaking telekinesis worked, loved him. Absolutely love him. Really, really cool hero. Really cool kit. So let's talk about Braxis Holdout. and just continue this kind of glee fest because, dude, this is the most StarCraft since StarCraft.
Yeah, it is. I love how they made the choice to make it unique so Zagara could still exist with Hydralisk. They did this like, I don't know, like all the Zerg were damaged, so we repaired them with stuff from around the home.
Well, it's a Terran like research base, so they're trying to make the Zerg more deadly. So how do you do that? Give them armor.
Good, great choice, everybody. Well done. Let's enslave the alien queen. It worked every time before.
I really like that they really honed in on the space horror of StarCraft because the narrator for this battleground is terrified constantly. Yeah. Absolutely terrified. But it's got the Terran music, everything's infested. So overall, love it. Love that it's a 2-lane map. I love all of the nooks and crannies in the center. Oh my god, that is just like a gank fest in there.
Oh, it's got so much flavor. It's the Super Smash level of map that I feel we always wanted. And Battlefield of Eternity and Infernal Shrines were just maybe even a step too unique from their original IPs. Whereas this just captures that moment where you were sitting at your computer in 1990 whatever, and you got to Mission 3 of Terran, and you had to defend for 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so great, and you have to applaud so many of the thoughts they had here, because one of your first reactions might be, it's redone Haunted Mines. Sure, the Golem is going to push different lanes, but still, Sylvanas should be really powerful here, right? Right? Wrong. Completely wrong. Because we no longer have a single boss that ends up plowing forward. It is a horde of Zerg, and area effects are more powerful. And if you lock down a building, guess what? It was probably already locked down because it was firing on the Zerglings that got in front, and the Hydralisk locked on, and the Guardians are firing from the back. And you got over 25%, so you spawned an Ultralisk with that.
Can we talk about the Zerg? Can we talk about the Zerg wave?
Sure.
It seems obscenely powerful.
It is. But it functions like a minion. When it locks onto something, it'll be dedicated to that target until it is somehow pushed around and unlocked from that. These things do prioritize in the order that minions do, so you can distract them. It's not like the Golem who's going to ignore all heroes. This thing will turn and attack you if you are standing in front of it.
Good luck standing anywhere near this, Kyle.
It is rather absurd amount of damage.
It's it's absolutely. It feels like a Zerg rush. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it because it does seem like an obscene amount of damage. That said, it's been a while since Haunted Mines, and you're right. The first Golem usually got to the keep, and that's what's happening here. That first fort is just goodbye if you're the one that got the dominant percentage on charging up your Zerg pen.
It's an interesting system, isn't it? Because those charges go really fast. You have to control 2 points on this map.
Yep.
And once they're controlled, the clock starts ticking at 4% a go. And feels like, while you're busy with other stuff, that it's over in seconds, and they have already charged up a full wave.
Yeah, absolutely.
And regardless of how much you have charged up previously on your own team, they still, if they win, get the full wave. And you got whatever you got. And if you got nothing, you get 3 Zerglings. Not even like a token Golem like you got on Haunted Mines that might go on to do something. 3 Zerglings will accomplish nothing.
It's very unlikely you will get like a 0% charge, though. Because there are, like you said, there are 2 capture points, and each capture point individually will gain you charges. You don't have to have both.
Oh?
Right?
You have to control both to actually activate it. Yeah.
Oh, then I guess I misunderstood.
Understand? Well, it's constantly ebb and flowing back. It's very exciting because it's a split map. It is going to force us, unlike something, for the most part, like Dragonshire, because of that middle lane, because all the space between the two, it's still okay if you didn't get a global hero or something along those lines. It's just, there's a good chance you're going to leave one of those shrines uncovered because you're going to go fight in the middle. But for Braxis, you have to control both the full time in order to activate the objective. So I'm excited about, maybe double warrior comps that are doing some sort of weird split thing. but just the fact that we're going to have smaller team fights because the way this map is designed.
That seems like the goal of a lot of the changes made in this patch overall.
Yeah.
And then also the goal of this map.
I think everything is still going to reward a team that coordinates well and maybe even moves as a unit, but it will be harder to execute.
Yeah. Also, things that are terrifying and do a lot of damage. You know, you were talking about the Headless Horseman earlier. I almost called him the Haunted Horseman. The boss, do we have a name for this thing yet?
Oh, I think it was Thor in the campaign. No, wait, that's the increased Odin.
Yes, this thing...
Gosh, Mike Morheim flew it. They used his face inside of it in the Terran missions. It was in Heart of the Swarm. It landed and Kerrigan had to battle it with Raynor on the train there.
Oh, I forgot about that. You're right. That is the same model, isn't it?
Yeah.
They use Mike Morheim's face for that?
Yeah, they did. They
I missed that. Huh. All right. I remember Dustin Browder's on the, it was the Mercenary Goliath, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember Mike Morheim's. I will have to go back. Okay, so, yeah, I don't remember what that thing is called. Chat room? Anyone? Archangel? Is that what it was?
Archangel, yes, he is Archangel.
Okay. That thing is terrifying
Yeah.
to try and take.
It hurts much like the Haunted Mines one does. And these mercenaries are extremely unique across the map. Your siege giants are no longer ranged. They're fire bats with a splash cone effect. And they push a lane like nobody's business. But when they get to buildings, as a melee unit, they suffer greatly and will go down very quickly.
Okay.
Meaning they have no power on the core.
Oh, wow.
But the Bruiser camp is made up of some Vikings and a darn vulture. And this darn vulture shoots its little mini missiles at you while it makes its way down the lane, seeming to prioritize heroes and with a small amount of splash damage. So if you ever played StarCraft and you remember those things, thank goodness they're not dropping turrets everywhere, but they're still pretty crazy. And the siege mercs, you can solo just about anyone. I mean, people that you normally wouldn't go to solo a camp, you know, Vala, who's going to lose too much health on it, don't worry about it. Just go take a siege camp if it's ready.
Vultures didn't drop turrets. Those were ravens.
Ravens. Vultures. No, I did it.
You did it.
I did the old mistake.
Did. Yes.
It's a raven.
It's still a thing. It's still a thing.
Still going.
It's still a thing.
Darn spore crawlers. How many years has it been? 5, 6, something like that. It's still happening.
This was our 6th year back in July. It was our 6th anniversary of podcasting.
Perfect.
Yeah. For those just tuning in, Kyle and I used to do a StarCraft show called StarCast, and we always called ravens vultures. And here we are 6 years later, continuing to make the same mistake.
It's a tradition at this point.
It's in our brain.
It'll live on forever.
It's in our brain. Okay, so it's vultures and Vikings.
It's a vulture, yes.
Okay.
It's a vulture
and
a Viking.
There you go.
And it's very powerful, and you will probably need about 3 people to do it.
Sweet. All right, man. Cool.
We're stoked, clearly.
Yes.
This is fandom, nostalgia, but it's also a very fun map. Yeah. However, as time goes on, it may be a bit snowbally.
Yeah. We'll see, right?
Plus, the snowball is a little encouraged by the fact that the catapults on this map are cyclones. And they shoot missiles that splash. So you no longer have an arcing shot to dodge. This thing just right in your face. And if you're standing next to that minion, you will take the splash damage. And I saw many people die to them this week because of that surprise. Not like we haven't seen people die to catapults or those darn arcing shots from a Abathur. But those do help you dodge it. And this will be another step of skill.
Yeah. Well, we need to just keep trucking because there's still stuff to talk about. What do you think of the MVP system? It's in the PTR right now, and...
Didn't experience it.
You didn't experience the MVP system?
Yeah, because it was all custom games. You don't get an MVP when you play a custom game.
I didn't play any custom, so there you go.
So tell me about it.
Well,
good?
I can tell you get them in AI games and in Quick Match. So.
Oh, neat.
Wait,
did the AI get awarded something?
The AIs get awarded, but they don't upvote.
Oh, what the... Bad manners at AI.
I would think it'd be kind of fun if the AI upvoted, but they don't. But yeah, it's there's some bugs. There's some bugs right now that have been pointed out in great detail on the Heroes of the Storm subreddit. If you are MVP, you get a little card like that hits the splash screen that shows like your stats and the percentage of whatever awesome thing it is that you did. And people were noticing that if you got the healer MVP, that it was showing like percentage of healing done, and it could go over 100%. And they're like, well, what is it calculating if it's going over 100%? And warriors were noticing that it was going over 100% on damage they absorbed, which seemed really funky. And apparently what the issue is is that it isn't, in the case of the warrior, it's not counting damage done to non-tanks. So you can go over 100%. And the same thing for the healers. It's not counting the amount of heals done by non-healers. I get it's really wacky. They're going to fix it. Other than that, the MVP system I think is really cool. It's extremely Overwatch-like. It can be nothing but positive, short of people just not voting. And it's like, but even then, I mean, if you lost and you're already feeling bad, you're already feeling bad. It's not going to help you. But if you won and no one votes, you kind of get to, you're still happy because you're like, wow, they're really mad.
Yeah.
So
I have seen, of course, the whole enemy team get it, so the screen is nothing but red, which is a little bit of insult to injury.
That's a possibility. That's possible in Overwatch as well, which is what we're going to keep comparing this to because it was the first Blizzard game to have this system.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It happens rarely in Overwatch. I'm assuming it's going to happen rarely here. I didn't play a ton of PTR games, as you can tell by the fact that I totally forgot or totally misunderstood how the mechanic on Braxis Holdout functioned. Yes, chat, it's fine. But no, it's I think it's a good addition to the game. More positive reinforcement, please. I still want a commend feature that, I don't know. I guess at this point, I'm not sure how it would even benefit anything, but we have the report. We don't have a commend feature. I guess this is the next best thing.
I have started my own commend feature, and it's called Whispering. And if someone really impresses me, I do take the time right now to whisper them, because it really doesn't go much further than how awesome would I feel if I did a bang-up job on Tracer, particularly on something that someone really hated on. If everyone hates your Nova every time you play and you were an amazing Nova, and some random dude tells you did a great job, I would feel fantastic. Pay it forward.
That's really well said. Do that. I also thoroughly enjoyed the Reddit thread that popped up this week that said both Cho and Gall should get MVP, and I agree. I'm getting on this bandwagon. If you get MVP as Cho or Gall, your other head should get credit.
That seems fair.
Because if you get MVP as Gall, chances are Cho's positioning had something to do with it.
But they should make a distinction between the three Vikings and Misha. Like, sometimes Misha, when it's Rexar, did okay, but Misha did great.
Well, Rexar's not the hero. Misha's the hero.
Exactly. He's a little too predominant on that MVP screen.
Very cool. All right, man. Sallying forward. We're done with the PTR for now. We'll have stuff to talk about next week. Moving on into the land of Heroes Esports, the Nexus games have been announced. Kyle?
Neat.
Yes. I was very confused by this because it was being put on by Blizzard, so I read this with as much of a fine-tooth comb as I could. So Blizzard has announced the Nexus games, which is a side tournament to the HGC. It is influenced by the HGC, but it has no influence on the HGC, is the best way I can try and explain it to all of you fine folks. It's going to be comprised of two separate events for both Europe and America, each event having its own $10,000 prize pool. So $10,000 prize pool for America and also Europe. It's not split between the two. The most important thing, the reason I think that they are doing this, other than to just give us some more content in between the break before BlizzCon, is that there will be no restriction on new content coming out too close to this tournament. Because in the HGC, there's a 2-week rule. If something has come out and it's less than 2 weeks old, it's not legal in the tournament. This is not going to have that. They put a big emphasis on Machines of War content being showcased in this tournament. So this is where we're going to get to see HGC qualified teams playing on the new battlegrounds using Alarak, possibly Zarya, depending on, how quick these all release. So they're going to be inviting the top 4 teams from the North American Fall Regional, which is going to be at PAX West this very weekend. Are you going to that, Kyle?
I am not.
This is a shame. Well, this is just a shameful weekend then, because I'm not going to Dragon Con, which is not too far from me, and I'm sad about that. But It's also going to be top 4 teams from the Europe Fall Regional, which has already taken place. That was at Gamescom, so it's going to be Dignitas, Misfits, Fnatic, and the Jabronis. We're also going to get 4 additional teams from each region through a Nexus Games qualifier that they are going to be putting on. So there is that, Kyle. It's going to be running through September and October. And again, this will be where we get to go see pros who are, in the HGC play with the Machines of War content.
And just 10 days after it releases, really. And then there'll be other updates that come, additional maps, and we'll get to see those as well. It's very exciting from a consumer standpoint. The prize pool does decrease drastically as it goes. First place is $5,000, second place is $2,000, going all the way down to $600 at sixth place. I do wonder, I'm very excited about like Solid Jake's tournament he's putting on, like Bloodlust. If you haven't heard about that community run tournament that he's putting together, some sweat and tears going into that for him. It's going to help fill out our in-between time, but also help support maybe smaller teams that wouldn't be able to compete at these levels and thereby get exposure, money to continue investing themselves and expand from there. I think this is cool. You got to get money in this, of course, to get the pros to come out, but I don't think this will help fill out the scene. This will just help support those who are already established, which is not bad at all.
I mean, if you go to the subreddit, the first darn comment is people asking for, please, Blizzard, give us a way to fund these prize pools through in-game purchases. And I understand that being the reaction. I would love to do that.
The tech probably isn't there, and that can be TM Blizzard all you want. They know that. Yeah. We can say this ad nauseum. I'm excited for it too. Blizzard has to know that this is a feature we all want.
Yep. We already like buying stuff in the game. Just give us some more stuff and let us support the esports side of things.
Yeah.
So. Anyways, before we take an email and wrap this up, let's thank our patrons over at patreon.com/ITN for supporting us. Guys, you guys are just awesome. We've continued getting so many good vibes and messages from all of you for the Team League night that we did last Friday. It was a blast. It was such a fun time. We love doing the patron hangouts with you guys. We had a blast on that this past Monday. It's been a really good ending to August for us here at Into the Nexus for Kyle and I. And it's all because of those of you who are supporting us at patreon.com/ITN. So thank you very much, patrons. And on this episode, let's thank Isaac B., Peter S., Finny Till Death, Seth P., Kamikaze, Dan N., Matthew A.V., and Jeremy R. Thank you all very much. Now, let's take an email.
Darkness stopped calling.
Darkness just texted me.
It's not the moment, it's a hero brawler!
You can send your email or question or topic, whatever it is you want to send over to itncast@gmail.com. Ours today comes to us from Akira. How's your giant creepy arm, dude? I've recently had a come to Jesus moment. As many other players do, I feel my rank does not represent my true skill level. Yeah, we definitely heard this time and time again, dude. He continues saying, rather than blaming my teammates for my losses, I looked at myself and it came to me. My hero pool is too small. I noticed many games during draft, I would type things like, Sylvanas would be really good on this map, without actually being able to pick her myself. He went on to include some other things, but he basically asks us, do we think that this is an overlooked issue among Heroes of the Storm players? And how much do we think that this can improve our win rate? So basically what he's asking is, should you be self-reflective? Should you realize that you're suggesting people take certain heroes even when you are not willing to take that hero yourself?
I think that's the real crux of the problem, right? If you find yourself requesting or begging for a certain hero to be repeatedly picked, you probably might like them, or you may have tried them, and then why are you stuck in this weird system? One of the biggest comments I often give, and it's often a bottom of the notes for my lessons, is go play Zagara, because you just don't know what she does. And there's a lot of things you can do to make her very angry. In fact, people who play Zagara because they clear your creep like mad.
Mm-hmm. That makes
and they know how much you hate it.
That makes me very angry.
Yeah, and it should. And because you play Zagara, you know when you find another Zagara that you get in there and clear her creep.
Mm-hmm.
So at the very least, you should play to understand why you want that hero or what can verse them. It's a very popular opinion right now, and it's 100% true. If the enemy team gets Zagara, you get Thrall because he lanes so strong against him, her, them, it. whatever.
Zagar is female.
Yes. Spawning on the battlefield and all that.
She is a queen.
And that's going to help you out a lot. And expanding your hero pool will be extremely beneficial. And it's something that this whole season has been a trial for me. You take a look at something like McIntyre. Too much clear and present danger for me growing up. Good movie, by the way. Anyway, if you take a look at a solo tier list right now, like McIntyre's put together, you will see tier 4, which is the bottom of the barrel. And I'm sitting on 3 that are core in my roster. Gazlo, Butcher, and Raynor are all considered bottom tier because of what they do right now in the meta. Someone else can just frankly do better. And that is a tough pill to swallow. But once I did find that Falstad, Li Ming, Tychus, these characters that are tier 1 were extremely powerful. And now that I've got Thrall under my belt, I don't really force my friends to pick him as much because I understand his weaknesses.
Good. Though, is that driving you? We've talked multiple times today about heroes that have not clicked for us. Falstad for me, Thrall for you. Do you have a drive to go and learn Thrall? Is this playing into that in any way, shape, or form?
How so?
Knowing that it would behoove you to know how to play heroes if you're going to suggest folks, play them so that you can basically back up what you're suggesting. Is that making you want to go play Thrall more because you do so often suggest someone play him?
It's what eventually divided me from my ego picks, which were these things that I felt like I did very well, that defined my personality. That breakdown of the essentialness of understanding them helped me get over that barrier. Plus, winning's fun, right? And who doesn't want to win? Yes. That's always, sort of the back thing of it. You spec your WoW character different for the night and you beat that boss. Guess how much you like that character. It's really difficult when you're trying to learn something new in a Hero League environment. You keep losing because all you're doing is reinforcing these negative emotions around that character. When in fact, you may be playing them well. It's just not being applied correctly or maybe even in the right circumstances.
Well put.
Li Ming is someone that I can just school for days in quick match. I can build my ego to the top of the tower with Li Ming. Falstad right now too. If I play a quick match, it's a blast. But it's not informing me of the actual decisions that I will have to make when I'm facing death balls, which frankly just don't happen much in quick match because we're all here to have fun and be unique and play our characters and learn them perhaps. Or you're here to fight that one Nova that knows how to play. And once again, I ask you, what Nova who knows how to play, what are you doing in quick match? Please join me in Hero League.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I think this is just a very natural way. If you can keep this in the back of your head, if you can be this kind of self-critical, it's a good natural way to figure out what heroes you should probably learn and add to your stable.
And equally important is to divide yourself from those losses and still analyze what you could have done better, but don't take the weight of the loss onto yourself, because that's a recipe for disaster, as I found out this week.
Yep. Well, in the spirit, Kyle, we have some things to give away.
We do, yes. So in the spirit of expanding rosters, as we've talked about here, we have been giving quite a few codes over the last couple months, but today we're going to be giving out those from Trelaman, as well as Telari. And don't tell anyone this, but Telari is giving away a Malfurion bundle. So you can have it. You just can't ever play it with Garrett, all right? Is that fair? That's the deal.
Fair enough.
If you win a Malfurion tonight, you don't get to play it. But at any rate, we're going to be giving these away. We're going to be giving 3 away to the after show and the chat. So stick around, chat, for the after show. Even if you're not a patron, we're just going to give them away in the chat. And then if you are a patron of the show, head over to patreon.com and make sure that you post on this episode. There'll be the video. There's comments below. Just post there. Holler something. If you want Glam ETC, a bundle, so you get ETC and that ridiculous Power Metal skin, or you want Chef Stitches and the actual Stitches. So please make sure these go to people who are expanding their roster. If you just want a skin, take a step back and let someone who actually receives a hero get this as well.
Yep. Or if you head on over to Patreon, you look at the post for 124 and you notice no one's commenting, chances are maybe everyone has stitches in ETC, which has happened before, so feel free to comment if you give it a day. So, anyways, yeah, awesome stuff. Thank you, everyone, for sending in those codes, by the way. We really do appreciate it, and we will do our best to find them a good home. So, Kyle, that brings us to the end of this episode of Into the Nexus.
All right.
Does.
We made it through. That was a surprisingly complicated one. We had nice notes ready to go, but a little surprise balance threw it off.
Surprise balance. Surprise balance. I love when things come out while I'm in the middle of doing another podcast before the other podcast, so I don't have room to adjust notes. It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing in the world. Anyway, thank you again to our patrons. We are supported by our patrons over at patreon.com/ITN. Huge thanks to our producers, Declan H. and Cheesy Bob. You guys are badasses. Also, thank you to those of you who are dropping us 5-star reviews on the iTunes store. If you're subscribed, you're a podcast listener, if you're using iTunes, drop us a review. If you dig the show, it helps us out a lot. We got one new 5-star review from Giggle Schmack, who complimented us greatly, Kyle. But really, Giggle left a 5-star review for the ITN community, saying, "My favorite thing is the community that they've created. The listeners of ITN are always a pleasure to play with, no matter what league, game mode, or how well your game is going."
That is true. But we had such a fantastic time Friday. And even to go beyond that, not to say names, but it's been truly amazing watching our community grow in skill, but also in kindness, in a sense. These are frustrating games. And there are those of you in this community who have really taken steps to become better players, more friendly individuals, perhaps. And I truly appreciate that. And it's a pleasure to see you guys, and it's a pleasure to play with you.
Indeed. What Kyle said, +2 times 2. I don't know.
Second,
we love you guys. Mushy, mushy feels. Please have a free Stitches and ETC as an extension of our love. I don't know why we're giving you a rotting corpse and a chef hat to extend our love to you, but hey, I guess this is the hand we've been dealt. Anyways, check out amove.tv for more Into the Nexus. That got away from me. Check out our swag. You can buy an Into the Nexus t-shirt over at shirts.amove.tv. You can get ITN glasses, mugs, whatever it is you would like over at etched.amove.tv. So go check that out. I'm very excited about that stuff. Catch us live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. Thanks to Alpha Geek Radio for our mobile live stream. You can follow the show on Twitter at ITNcast. And finally, thank you to Gorath for our intro music, and thank you to Brian Griffith for our outro music. Kyle, where can folks find you when you're not jumping into the Nexus?
Well, you can find me playing on the Nexus. And in fact, this weekend, there will be solo Q&A recorded live at 1 p.m. Saturday. Now, we normally record these Thursdays. There was a bit of a hiccup yesterday, some technical issues, as well as some fatigue, if you will. So we're going to record that fresh Saturday, but it'll be super extra mega fresh because there's a member of the solo queue community who made a very ridiculous, I'm still just completely blown away, donation to the show. We are going to just jump this up to 1080p. Hopefully Saturday. Chewy Studios, thank you so much for your donation. We're going to see if we can get this stream and all the videos on youtube.com/Kyle Ferguson up to 1080p. I will be working on that computer, building it myself tomorrow, and hopefully I'll see you all Saturday in the glory that is high definition.
Nice. You better up your makeup game, sir.
Oh, I've prepared.
You're going to go from a handsome-looking man to, I don't know. I feel like anything I say will be really mean. So.
Well, no, there's nothing, dude. There's nothing you can say, man. This brow wants to unionize every other day. It is a passionate German brow, and it'll be one day when I have lost control or lost my tweezers.
Nice.
Luckily, though, tweezers don't hurt too much on the eyebrows. It's the nose that really. I have no idea how to deal with this, man.
Oh, cool,
Mustache helps.
Well, if I ever get a receding hairline, I'm going to have to get a new permit for the height that my forehead will reach. So we can freak people out in 1080p together as we age. You can find me on Twitter, everyone, at Garrett Art. You can find my graphic design work over at nomoonart.com. And you can find many other podcasts like The Angry Chicken or Overwatchers at amove.tv. Go check that out. We've got some codes for you to use. Go to doghousesystems.com, use the code ITN, and you will get a free solid-state drive added onto your gaming rig. That's on top of the regular hard drive that always comes with their gaming rigs. You can also use the code ITN over at tweakedaudio.com, where you will get 30% off and free shipping on your entire order of noise-reducing earbuds and headphones from Tweaked Audio. That offer extends to our friends across the pond in Europe as well. Free shipping to Europe. Use the code ITN, tweakedaudio.com. That's going to do it for this episode. Stick around if you're patrons for the after show game. Otherwise, we will see you guys next week for the next episode of Into the Nexus. Good luck and have fun.
Take care.